Dark Souls gets compared to Zelda a lot these days. There are tons of interesting articles discussing how the original Zelda on the NES is almost like a precursor to Dark Souls. On Digressing and Side Questing, Ronnie states that if someone handed the original Zelda to a developer who was not familiar with the series and was asked to make a sequel based on that game alone, that game would look similar to Dark Souls. Think about it. Both games feature freedom of exploration, dungeons, keys to get to other places, a difficulty curve, and the rules of the game are shown to the players using the game design itself. I agree with this, but I think Castlevania, another game Dark Souls gets compared to, has a lot of parallels as well. While playing Dark Souls, I realized how similar the game is to Castlevania on the NES. For this video, I will not be talking about all of the Souls games in regards to Castlevania. I haven't played Dark Souls 2, and I've only played a little bit of Demon Souls, so I'll only talk about Dark Souls. Also, this video is an unofficial companion piece of sorts to Egoraptor's Castlevania episode of Sequelitis. I recommend watching those videos first. Links below, because I will discuss some of his points in this video. I am not affiliated with Egoraptor in any way. I was just inspired by Sequelitis and Dark Souls. Challenge. Both games have extreme challenges that will more than likely make the gamer frustrated. In no way are these games easy. There are so many ways to die in these games around every corner that it brings incentive in players to approach every situation carefully. Egoraptor stated that it was like actually being in a scary situation. You wouldn't rush through anything throwing your life away. You would stop and carefully assess the situation. This is a stark contrast to many modern games. In those games, you are able to just blow through the game without worrying. No enemy seems intimidating and the challenge isn't really there. In Castlevania and Dark Souls, every enemy is intimidating. One wrong move and you could die. And when you die, you start the level over or go to your last save point or bonfire. Part of the challenge comes from enemy placement. In Sequelitis, Egoraptor says that the enemy placement in Castlevania is something you will remember forever. I agree, and the same point can be made in Dark Souls. The enemies are always in the same place every time you start a level or area, but this isn't a bad thing. Even if you know where they are, there is still a challenge in defeating them or getting around them. Each placement has the feeling that has been thought out very carefully. This further discourages players from rushing through the game, because if you rush, you will be punished, whether that's a chunk of your health gone or resulting in a death. I like this idea of the enemies always in the same spot. It brings a unity to the community of those games. If you have friends who are playing the same game, you can talk about each level and know exactly what they're talking about. In discussions, you can talk about what enemy gave you the hardest time, and your friend will know exactly where that enemy was and how much of a challenge it was to him as well. If enemy placement was random every time, this unity would be lost. Mechanics. Castlevania and Dark Souls both have great core mechanics. I will restate what Egoraptor said about Castlevania's mechanics here. The whip has a delay, and jumping has a committed arc. These seem minor, but they hold such an importance to the game. Because jumping has a committed arc, you have to plan them very carefully. In Mario, you had some control of the character in the air, so if you messed up, there's a small window of improvement before you land somewhere you don't want to. Castlevania removes that, making the player more cautious of where and when to jump. The whip delay makes players plan their attacks more as well. Also, as Egoraptor says, the whip isn't the optimal option. There are times where you will need to use other items to defeat monsters because they would be more effective in those situations. Dark Souls features more complex mechanics, but are still working from the same principle. Guarding and swinging has a little delay to it as well, and on top of that, they all affect the stamina meter. You can't just swing your sword wildly, because once the meter goes all the way down, you have to wait for it to charge up. Having your shield up at all times makes the stamina regenerate slowly too. You can run and roll, but that takes up stamina as well. All of these aspects cause the players to assess every situation carefully. The game feels like the designers design the levels around the mechanics. Not all games have this, unfortunately. With what players are given, how can we present a challenge? If they were to go this route, what would they find? The games feel tightly designed and well thought out. This is what makes these games fun. You feel like you're accomplishing something and not just going through the predictable motions of many other games. That's it. Thanks for watching.